Welcome back to the channel, guys. Every day, I bring you the best topics from Reddit. I spend a lot of time editing the posts, so you can better enjoy them. Please help me grow this channel by commenting and sharing this video. Also make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. And now, assuming you did all that, let's go for the first topic from Smellsnells.
I hope you liked the video so far. Make sure to check my #1 secret for healthy weight loss by clicking the link in the description.
Long-distance cheater romance. So here is an abridged story. We're going to call him Jim. Jim gets my number, and with our traveling careers it makes it impossible to meet up for almost a year. He's constantly trying to get work in my main city, but I also travel for work. So it just didn't work out until late October, November time. He gets time in my cities, and we are still chatting and see each other. Then he finally travels to me in his days off and things start happening. Everything is magical, and we are really into each other. He goes back home after a month of training in a different city. He politely says he wants to call me at a certain time, and out of respect, I allow that to happen the first couple days. Shortly later, I realize he's calling me from his car every time he calls. I make a mental note but don't think about it. Later he travels to my city. And at dinner, he tells me how he and his ex-wife are roommates and that she lives in another city, but hasn't taken all of her stuff yet from the house and freely comes and goes. That he's paying her alimony. Then he invites me to his home to meet his cat and show me around his city. I oblige, and we have a great time, but I notice how it's clear a woman seems to live in the house. I ask him about the Christmas decorations, and he assures me he was the one who did it. Or the collection of mugs on the bookshelf, clearly not a manly thing. I go home after this weekend trying to want to believe what he's saying. Mind you, we've shared location by this point, so I can see his coming and going from his home. So I decide to call him when he just gets home. FaceTime. Well, his iPad upstairs goes off while he's in the garage. The ex-wife sees someone is FaceTiming her husband and goes down to the garage to ask him who is calling. He immediately hangs up the phone with me. So of course I keep calling. He messages me it's the neighbor, and he will call me back. Like, no, it ain't the neighbor. The neighbor won't be asking who is calling. If anyone out there wonders if they should stay or leave, just leave. I can tell you after thinking that maybe he was lying to me because he wanted to protect me from it. All because he loved me that much. No, this isn't the case. He's been gaslighting me ever since, and it's BS. I know because I can verify my claims, not only when she found me, and the things that happened there, but also with my own research. I'm sad I'm still in this relationship, hoping it will get better. They're now nearing the end of the divorce. But he just created all this turmoil throughout the whole process that made me terribly unnecessarily stressed at a critical time in my career. And now I'm hating myself for allowing it in my life. I wish I would have walked away when I found out about it all. I'm still with him, thinking things will get better, and we move in together this week. Like the divorce finalizing and a month later is my end marker on continuing or not. If he's still lying to me, I'm out. He tried to minimize Valentine's Day and then spent it there packing stuff for the move, which could be legitimate, but he also made sure to groom himself before going out there. Makes me think there's more going on than he's sharing. And he's still buying her expensive gifts during the divorce, verified. I can't decide if it's to keep her at peace or what else he would keep doing that for. And not getting anything for me except cheap dinners. It's all making me feel very bitter and devalued. I hate it, and when I express it to him, he just denies it and tries to throw in stuff I share with him from my history. Like, this conversation is about you right now, mister. Stop. Similar_corner 8081 commented. I can't imagine not telling someone that big piece of information. I'm in his situation. I'm still married and live together. I date a guy that lives in Alabama and hit me up. I live in Virginia. He says he travels my way for his work and wanted to meet up. I told him everything from the start. I was honest and said I'm staying in the marital home until I save money to move out. Husband and I are roommates and haven't had sex in 2 years. We are better off as friends. I'm meeting up with the guy who messaged me in December. I told my husband where I'm going and who I was going to be with and when I will be back.
And if you want to receive a free sketch of your soulmate, click the link in the description now.
Story 2 from HotEb4357. Leave or stay? Need help? To start, Mike 25F, boyfriend, 26M, works in government office. He's one of the youngest people in the office. In our country, almost everyone who works in the government are seniors. Their culture is like they're all family and those kinds of stuff. He has a history of talking to other girls. So when he started working there, I was really not that worried. I'm not worried at all since my dad's friend helped him get in. Last December 2022, I met his office mate over a Korean barbecue dinner. They are friendly, but most of them gives me a judgy look. I assume because I'm a city girl. But there's this one guy, whom I will name Mark, doesn't even try to look like he likes me. I found it sketch. While Mark is grilling the barbecue, I heard him tell my boyfriend, "Where's the other girl?" Deep down, I know who Mark is talking about. But I let it slide, maybe he just likes to joke around. January came, I read through my boyfriend's conversation with the other girl, and I was so shocked because they're saying I love yous. And the girl responded with a flirty text. I know that girl has a boyfriend. So again, I let it slide. But I did confront him and actually broke up. Stupid me, gave him a chance. Yesterday, I found his old phone and I charged it. I used it for work because it has internet data, but then I saw a photo vault app that I haven't opened for a long time. So I opened it and got more curious because there are 2 new photos. Yes, I count and remember them. The photos are conversation between BF and the other girl, with GIF making out. It goes like this: "Girl, I want to feel your lips. I want to kiss you," with GIF making out, then BF replied with another GIF. Then girl replied, "I want you to do it, and squeeze me tight." I asked him just now if something happened between them, and of course the answer is no. Should I tell the girl's BF? Should I confront the girl?
And now, before going any further with the video, make sure to click the link in the description to discover the key to winning a man's love, attention, and total devotion for life.
Story 3 from Help PP Me 22. Here's the tea. Okay, this is my first time on Reddit. So I apologize for the extremely long, complicated situation I'm about to dive into, but I have no one to turn to. And I need help. So 3 years ago I, 24F, got into a relationship with a guy, 24M. We basically lived the same childhood traumas, lots of siblings, we understood each other perfectly, we're soulmates, blah blah blah. About 10 months into the relationship, we move in together. Fast forward to now, we still live together, and we have a 1-year-old daughter. Up until a few weeks ago, I had zero doubt that we'd be together forever. That he would never ever cheat on me, and that this guy was my soulmate and that's it. End of discussion. Well, I've now found out that he's been Snapchat cheating on me for 7 months. I can't get into all that detail because it makes me want to puke. But there are multiple girls and yeah, it's just bad. Now I'm going to try to skip over some details and get to the point of what I really need advice on. Last spring, he decided to get into the cattle market. We're poor AF, by the way. So he's spending his paychecks on buying cows, and we're using my credit cards to live off of. I'm talking 5 credit cards that are only in my name, that I had before the relationship started. I always kept these paid off and used them in emergencies or to get the cashback rewards or whatever. And now, they are all maxed out. I had a perfect credit score, which is now ruined because all these cards are at their max balances. We haven't made a single dime from the cows. He makes about $2,000 a month. We've barely been getting by, especially since the cards are now maxed out. I stopped working a couple of months before having our daughter. So I'm completely reliant on him financially. And we're literally in the process of moving out of my brother's basement and into a house where I'd be taking care of his 5 younger siblings. That's a whole other story. Okay, anyway, I now have around $15,000 in debt in my name. He's getting around $4,000 back in taxes because he claimed me and our daughter as dependents. That money is supposed to go straight to the credit cards. But if I leave him now, he's probably not going to give me that money. Or he might, but I have no way of knowing. And child support wouldn't even cover the minimum monthly payments. I haven't confronted him about the cheating. Because I want to wait until he gets the tax refund and I pay off a little bit of the debt he's gotten me into. But tonight I found a conversation he had with one of the girls that pushed me over the edge. And I just want to scream at him and confront him right now. I call them girls because no woman would ever do this kind of thing with a guy they know is in a relationship, and they know. So I'm trying to keep my cool, like I have been for the past few weeks, and just play dumb and pretend I don't know what he's doing. But I'm so sick of this. Would he legally have to help pay off that debt? More than what child support would require. What do I do, Reddit?
Please click the link in the description now to activate your internal wealth DNA.
Shiv1313 commented. So much to unpack. Has he been good up until you found the Snap stuff? He has never physically cheated? Been a great partner? Great dad? Do you love him? I ask because you guys are 24 and been together since you were 21. As an old man that has been married for a couple of decades. People in their 20s make some really dumbass decisions. I can't even imagine what it would have been like if we had smartphones back in the 90s. It's so easy to get caught up in things with these phones. These girls, that are probably younger than you, aren't the brightest limb on the tree either. My point is that if the answer to those questions are positive, then throwing the relationship away because he's a dumbass is probably a rash decision. You have a right to make it, but when you said he was the love of your life until you saw his phone, you need to confront him. He will probably deny because that's what dumbasses do. Then you will say I saw the messages and he will come clean. He didn't physically cheat, right? He was just getting his rocks off and acting like a 19-year-old and not a 24-year-old with a wife and a daughter. His life, long-term relationship and child, are beyond his maturity level. That's very common for guys his age. Especially if they have single friends going out all the time, and he is living that life through them. He needs a wake-up call. He needs to decide what kind of man he wants to be. And he needs to do it before he loses the love of his life. Because he will quickly find out that some girls on Snap, that is sending him stuff, wasn't worth losing the love of his life. That will hit him like a ton of bricks. The financial stress that he likely feels does not help this at all. In fact, without even knowing, it's likely that he pushed toward it. Unless you guys have been struggling and haven't been spending time with each other. So, if you want him, you have to talk to him. You have to set some ground rules. He needs to tell you how it started, and why it started, and why it continued. If you truly love him, then give him that wake-up call he needs. Tell him he needs to be a man and not a boy. Now if you don't want him, well that's different. He shouldn't have been handling the finances and making decisions. It sounds as if you are financially responsible. If you stay with him, this should be your thing. Buying the cows is something he should have done when you had the money to do it. Clearly you guys weren't in a position to do that. He thought he could flip them and make some money. That's a lot of risk to take with that kind of money at your age. Too many things can go wrong, and did. The problem is that it is your debt. That's extremely unfair of his. You could sue him for the money, but might not win. Good news is that $15,000 in debt isn't $50,000. Go to a bankruptcy lawyer, and they will have this wrapped up fairly quickly. Get a clean start and slowly start rebuilding your credit. You're young, so that is a huge plus. If you leave him, and he does give you the $4,000, then I wouldn't immediately throw that at the debt. You might need it for yourself and your daughter to leave him. But the lawyer will help in that regard. If he tries to keep the $4,000, then he is a real piece of work since he caused the debt. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a wild idea for the $4,000 too. Financially, unless you can pay the $15,000, I would file bankruptcy. But in time you're 31 to 32 years old, it will be a distant memory. Relationship-wise, that no matter if you've made up your mind to leave or not, you need to talk to him about what you saw. But if you stay, he is going to have to really be a partner and put his big boy pants on. Every time he opens Snap, he needs to think of you and your daughter. Obviously, ground rules and boundaries need to be set. And he needs to work his butt off to win you back. Yes, win you back. Even though you aren't leaving, he still needs to act as if he is making you fall in love with him again. You can't beat the love of a good woman. I mean, it is the absolute best. I was a dumbass in my 20s, and I was bullheaded. I thought I knew everything. I knew nothing. I grew. I matured. I became the man my wife deserves. I'm in no way perfect. But I thank God that she believed in me and never wavered. That kind of love is worth it. So I suggest he grow up. He needs to think long term. Not short term. Short-term gratification rarely works out. If he isn't willing to change, then the relationship needs to change. With him or not, you need to file bankruptcy. They will lift this giant cloud that over you. You also need to be in charge of the finances if you stay. He is way over his head there. Please support our channel by subscribing now. I will give you a special shout out in the next video. Now, for more Reddit cheating stories, check out one of these videos.
Get paid to do simple jobs on social media. Click the link in the description now.